What's up, everybody? I'm back with a new comic book review, and I kind of want to make up for lost time, considering that I took a minute before I got through with the Flash comic that I just recently reviewed over like a week ago. I want to make sure that I try to get out some shorter material so I can still meet like the expectations of the comic book reviews, because I'm going to be kind of busy the next month and a half, so content will be kind of limited for a period. There'll still be stuff, but I tried all February. I've been trying to put out as much as possible, so that way you guys can have some considerable amount of content. But I'll still have some comic book reviews, but the next couple of ones gonna be like short and sweet, so that way it doesn't take me a long time to pour through them. But anyway, this one I've been meaning to talk about for the longest time. Is one of my favorite Justice League stories. Easily in the top 5 favorite Justice League stories. There isn't like crisis level event like on like a multiversal scale. This is like it's still like a not like a grounded story, but in like its own little sphere, where it's affecting like certain group. Tower of Babel, and we'll be because it's been a minute since I've done a Justice League story. So the members that we have here, of course, we got Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, but we also got Martian Manhunter, Aquaman, Kyle Rayner, Green Lantern, Wally West, Flash, and Plastic Man is actually on the team around this time. And of course, this is set not too long after the events of Hal Jordan and the Parallax situation, which is briefly mentioned here. So obviously they need a Green Lantern. Kyle Rayner is like the only Green Lantern, at least human-based Green Lantern at the time. So that's why he is the main member, the newest member. I think him and Plastic Man and Wally to a certain extent. Even though maybe Wally has like a slighter experience as a member compared to Plastic Man and Kyle Rayner. Anyway, before I continue, please do me a huge favor. If you enjoy this material and the content that I bring, please hit that like button. Leave a comment below. Let me know what your opinion is about JLA Tower of Babel. And follow me on my YouTube and Twitch, Talkative Carl, as I stream video games, review content like comic books, and react to videos. So, Tower of Babel is written by Mark Waid, art by Howard Porter. And it came out around early 2000, exactly 2000. In the summer 2000. And it is a quintessential mark on Justice League history. It's kind of similar in a way of like Marvel Civil War, in terms of some decisions being made that ultimately resulted in, well, not in this case a team breaking up, but sowing distrust between heroes that have been working together for a very long time by this point, and now it's just like causing like turmoil. So we open with Ra's al Ghul, the main bad guy of this story. Of course, this is also, if you watch because I'm pretty sure I reviewed that movie, the animated film Justice League Doom. Uh, it its story plot takes inspiration from this comic, even though they had to change certain things up, but the essence is still the same. Still pretty good. Uh, but I don't want to spoil much here. But I'm not gonna sugarcoat it here. It's a really good story. Really good story. Anyway, Ra's al Ghul has obviously machinations in play that he needs Talia and the League of Shadows to go through phase 1 and get at the League. Because what he'll need to do next, he cannot have them interfere because it is a worldwide event that, of course, the Justice League will have to step in. It isn't just a Batman thing at this time. So while he's greenlighting Talia to do to spearpoint the mission, first act we see as Bruce is going to visit his parents' grave, their coffins are freaking missing. And of course, if you want to get to the quick and getting on Batman's bad side, go anywhere near his parents. Even defaming their gravestone will wind you up being put into traction. He does not play. So the fact that, because let's be honest, we already know who's the bad guy. There's no mystery involved, which is fine. There are times like this, we don't need this whole big grand mystery of who done it. We already know who done it. It's the way he went about doing it. There lies the mystery. So Batman's parents are missing. So of course Bruce completely abandoning any type of investigation, any thing he had on a docket at work, all that is just pushed to the side. He does not care right now. His main goal right now is to find who took his parents. Then Martian Manhunter got attacked with a missile that shot him with nanites. This caused his flesh to mix. It turned into a particular compound that, coming in contact with the air, would cause his body to burst into flames. And of course, you know that Martian Manhunter is weak against fire. Well, more so, he got a phobia against fire, but let's just say he got a weakness against fire. So he ends up falling down into a wooded area, which causes like a massive forest fire, which Flash, Wally West, and Diana happen to be close by, and they discover that he was the cause of this fire, so they had to figure a way to put him out. Meanwhile, like Aquaman and Plastic Man get attacked, while a terrorist group trying to attack the UN right at the same time as Aquaman, being a leader of a nation himself, is expected to come in to this meeting, but it gets attacked. They step in, they hit him with a fear toxin, a specifically made fear toxin that gives him hydrophobia. And knowing Aquaman, every so often he needs to be submerged in water to keep up his powers. So the longer he's too long away from water will result in him dehydrating, slowly losing his powers, and of course, given his familial lineage, his mother being Atlantean, it is a must that he needs every once in a while be submerged in water, or at least have some water to keep up his strength. The more out of it, the weaker he gets, and eventually he will die. Plastic Man, because I can't help but think about the first Fantastic Four movie where Dr. Doom, we learn a little something about chemistry. What happens when you super cool rubber, it becomes brittle. So they hyperfreeze Plastic Man, because Plastic Man is very powerful in his own way, despite his goofiness. But he didn't expect to be frozen. Completely caught off guard, he's completely frozen, and they shatter him into a million pieces. I wasn't a million pieces, but it's tons of pieces. So one good hit, he just shatters, and they move on. So the rest of the league gathers, puts Martian Manhunter into a tank in order to keep him from igniting until they figure out a way to get rid of the little microscopic robots that's covering his body that causes his skin to ignite, and bringing it Aquaman to sickbay, trying to figure out a way to get him to have water in order to keep him from dying. But the fact that he's hydrophobic now, of course, the fear gas will eventually wear off, but the time it'll take, it'll be pretty much too late, and he'll end up probably dying in the process. Realizing this, obviously, a systematic attack against the League, they try contacting Batman, but he picks up briefly and asks, like, is anybody dying? Is this like a world-ending event? And I was like, well, no. And it's like, okay, then signing off. Because he's on the plane to Ra's al Ghul. He did an investigation, and he realized only he will probably have the means to do what he's able to do. But then, while Superman has to go back to Metropolis to keep up appearances as Clark Kent at the Daily Planet, Phase 2 is implemented by Ra's al Ghul, so is based off the biblical story of Tower of Babel, hence the name. Ra's al Ghul created this tower that causes it kind of reminds me, because I think Batman Beyond episode with Shriek, I think they took a little bit of inspiration from this story, because if you remember that episode from Batman Beyond when Shriek used a tower like a tuning fork to scramble people's brains that understands language and words. Essentially, this is what's happening right here. Words and language is completely scrambled up. Nobody's able to communicate via verbiage or written language, no matter the language, which causes confusion, catastrophes, which Superman has to quickly, address. He runs, but he flies to the fortress, gets a machine to cover Metropolis in this little bubble, so that way people can be able to understand each other. It's like a Brainiac type of machine, not exactly Brainiac, but thing he got from a fight from Brainiac that he utilizes. Um, so if you know a bit about certain Bible stories, you know that the Tower of Babel is basically, where the story goes, that a long time ago, every human had this one language, and I guess in their hubris, they built a tower together to try to reach the heights of God. But God didn't like that, so he, caused everybody to have different languages, so they can't effectively communicate with each other, thus kind of neutralizing them working together. Is basically what it is. So that's, explains why some of us speak English, some of us speak French, some of us speak Spanish, some of us speak Japanese, some of us speak Chinese, some of us speak Norwegian, Dutch, etc. So that's the inspiration of, pretty good, not only with the name, but also, twisting the whole tower into like a lethal threat. Raz's goal is to cause mass hysteria and upheaval for people to end up pretty much turning against each other, and resulting any survivors left will be, the lucky ones, essentially. Because Ra's al Ghul is an eco-terrorist. His main goal is to make sure Earth is thriving with minimal amount of humans on the planet to really disrupt stuff. Kind of wish we got that kind of thing with Liam Neeson as Ra's, but, because I could totally see Liam Neeson as Ra's pulling this kind of effect. This is a shame that we don't get more of Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul. He was so good. He was a spot on Ra's al Ghul. Perfect man to do the job. Because you can't help but think about his line of dialogue in the movie, where it's like, like about burning London to the ground, kind of thing. We sacked Rome, we burned London to the ground, kind of thing. And it's like, we tried a new one, economics. But here is the tower. Anyway, so Diana and Wally goes to check on Green Lantern, but come to their shock, he's in his room completely blind. Somehow, he was made blind. And this scares Kyle, because not only being a Green Lantern, but also a graphic artist, he is heavily reliant on his sight. Because not only he needs it for his creativity, but also being a Green Lantern, he needs to be able to know what he's creating in terms of a construct in order to be effective. And he needs to know where he's kind of aiming at. So he's been like in his room refusing to get out because he does not want to accidentally cause any kind of destruction. Meanwhile, Bruce shows up in Roz's compound, and to his horror, Roz, took his parents' caskets and said, because in a weird way, Roz admires and respects Bruce and sees him as like the only worthy person to succeed him and marrying his daughter. Well, of course, Bruce never bit that apple, despite his feelings towards Talia. But to his horror, he sees Roz, who, in a weird level of respect, but also kind of like a bribe, so he can continue doing what he's doing, he will submerge Bruce's parents into the Lazarus pits, not knowing if, after so many years being dead, this will end up reviving them fully, which highly doubt, because you can't be like, I mean, it has to be freshly dead, maybe, in order to possibly work. It did with Jason Todd, but he wasn't, dead for too long. His body didn't really start decomposing yet. Bruce's parents been dead for a good, let's say, like Bruce is like, the late 30s, early 40s. And he was 8 at the time, and his parents would have probably been in their 40s at the time. So it's been a good, possibly 80 years since their deaths. I'm spitballing the number here, but let's say it's been like, 70, 80 years. Well, no, like 30 years, because Bruce would have been like 8, somewhere between 8 to 10 when they died, and so it's like this, lowball to him being 8, and they were 40, and the dad was 40, and he was 40, so it's like, yeah, a good 32 years or so maybe of them being dead. So yeah, they're practically skeletons at this point, so there's no way that will work. But it doesn't matter. Roz needed Bruce distracted. Meanwhile, back at Kyle's place, the League of Assassins then started attacking, because they tracked down the 3 Leaguers to Kyle's place and started attacking. They hit Wally with a vibro bullet, causing him to experience seizures in light speed, pretty much crippling him, while Diana is hit with a robotic little machine that goes into her ear, causing her to hallucinate a perfect warrior for her to fight. It is only in her mind. So she's having like an internal fight that feels real, and endless fight that will cause her like to experience so much stress her heart will just eventually give out. Given the fact that she's an Amazonian, it will take a while, but it will happen if progresses, because in her mind the fight is never ending. A perfect match for Wonder Woman. So like she's just envisioning a perfect award for her physical prowess, but like I said, it's an illusion. It's all in her mind. Right now she's just on the ground, completely incapacitated. Meanwhile, Aquaman, who may be suffering hydrophobia, he's the only one right now, besides maybe Batman, that can actually do something, because everybody else, it is Superman. He's contacting one of his subordinates in Atlantis, asking him to fix something really quick for Martian Manhunter, because there's a systematic attack against the League, and we need to be able to deal with this. Meanwhile, Kyle trying to fight back because he can't see, it's going all over the place, but Talia knocks him out before Superman gets there, because he's get contacted, like Diana and the others are getting attacked, but she is prepared for him as well, and you think, oh, obviously kryptonite. Yes and no. Meanwhile, Batman, realizing how Roz is able to not only, because he's distracting Bruce, he comes to realize this is like all a big distraction. Your plan, you need, because he just kind of flat admits it. He needs the Justice League out the way because they were the only ones that probably powerful enough to like prevent him to enact his master plan. But that's not really scaring Bruce right now, because the way this is happening, it's too familiar to Bruce. So he has to get out of there. Martian Manhunter shows up, and thanks to Arthur getting his people to scramble up a kind of like a Mr. Freeze type of suit, but for water, to keep his body from igniting, but his powers are pretty limited because he can't do what he normally does because the suit is containing him. So he's just got flight and some level of strength. But eventually, Superman does show up. Talia cracks the suit, which temporarily stops Martian Manhunter, while Superman uses heat vision to like keep the thing from bursting, and therefore Martian Manhunter from bursting into flames. Talia pulls out a red kryptonite. Now, back then, red kryptonite, they couldn't really settle on what red kryptonite exactly does, because it does like at least one or two things that was utilized more than anything else done during like way back in like the Bronze or Silver Age. Now, what we know and what they kind of settled on now is based off of the Smallville TV show, where red kryptonite causes Superman to lose his inhibitions and lean more into the more selfish, darker nature of himself, which I think a lot of people are a little bit more respectful and can kind of settled on that, being like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. But here and a couple of other times, red kryptonite just caused Superman's skin to become translucent, and since his powers is based on solar absorption to keep him kind of fueled up, but the skin was a filter and without it, he's taking so much in, so his powers are in overdrive. I don't want to say overdrive, but you can't like, limit the amount of what's being put into himself. It's just like, he's bursting with it. You can't even use his heat vision well. It kind of like spraying fire, pretty much. And he's in agony because of it. Bruce running out of Rod's facility, trying to reach out to his comrades, saying like, I did this. Superman, listen to me. I did this. And of course, no one's able to hear him because Rod's turned on the machine. So no one can understand him. But Bruce says, I did this. I did this to all of you. So, yeah. It's a madhouse. A madhouse. Because Talia and the others leave the League in this like predicament, and we come to learn as we see like how it was, because Talia was the one who finds these. All right, here's the thing. Batman has had made contingency plans on how to deal with each member of the Justice League and others. He made dossiers and worked on different ways to neutralize, not kill any member of the league, because as he will rationalize it, there was like a past event where some villain causes the league's powers to be swapped with dangerous people that misused it and wreaked havoc. So he come to realize, like, okay, I need to do something about this, because if any of these guys go bad, or they come susceptible to mind control, or that another body swapping thing comes into play again, we need to be able to defend ourselves in order to nip it in the bud quickly before havoc is wreaked on society. So we see like past moments where Batman, with each member of the league, just casually asking them questions, and like Diana's like, like, put it frankly, sometimes I think you hate to lose even more than I do. So Amazons raise their daughters to be compulsive overachievers? It's just how we live. For the right to represent Paradise Island in the outside world, had to best my Amazon sisters in a series of challenges. We fought masked so the existing friendships would not taint the outcome. When I came to man's world, I was amused by your concept of competition. The idea of treating it as something exceptional was completely alien to me. It had never occurred to me that life could be lived any other way. Ever wonder what you would have done if you lost? That's not a possibility I ever considered. It just seems like a casual conversation, but when it comes to Batman, it's anything but sometimes. When he's with like Kyle, while he's kind of like doodling, as he sitting there drawing like a construct sketch pad, Batman admires his attention to detail. Yeah, one of the reasons I wanted to become an artist, I guess, I wanted to show everyone the world the way it looks to me. It's a beautiful place. I think about it sometimes. Which would you regret losing more? Your hearing or your vision? You can't count on vision to save you from the enemy who's behind you. Man, most people who are as paranoid as you end up getting professional medical help. Me, I would sure hate to never hear music again, but without my eyes, no beauty, no art, no way to create with a pencil or a power ring, I not only wouldn't be a Green Lantern anymore, I don't think I even make a very good Kyle. And it's like he picking up on that, man. And of course, why wouldn't they, confide into somebody like Batman? They're friends. At least they're supposed to be. They're super friends. You will never suspect any of your friends to plot on your, like, can you imagine, like, when your friends in your friend group had made dossiers on how to neutralize any one of you in case something transpires. You wouldn't think somebody would be that paranoid and kind of level of sick that would take. We see that, Talia broke into the League watchtower because that's how they're able to, she learned how because got the communicators and these tech that's able to allow them to do emergency transports if need be, but how to track them. So anytime they're at a certain place, you see them popping up at Cal's place, they use their tech against them. It's like, okay, they're there, so this is how we can get them to set up this trap. Talia goes to the watchtower, get all this information, scrub any evidence that she was ever there. She's also able to use those same mechanisms to figure out a way to find the Batcave, which you would think that Talia al Ghul, well, not been to the Batcave. I'm pretty sure she's been to the Wayne Mansion before, knowing her and Bruce's, history. But she uses that tech to go to the Batcave because she needs specific information that only he would have in his own cave. She ends up going there and pulling his encrypted files that supposed to be encrypted, but because she's able to use certain materials in like the watchtower, and of course anything they got from the League, it's able to it'll take a bit of time, but she managed to not only decrypt it, but then scramble any history of it being used, so Bruce would be none the wiser. But she managed to download all this private information that he was able to accumulate, copy it, and so that the League can be able to utilize it, but in a more lethal way. And I like this little bit of info dumps in between the pages where you see like how Batman figured out a way to take out certain members of superhero community that's not even in the League. 1 second. Like these countermeasures here. The atom's white dwarf belt might be induced to collapse further, compressing him to sub-quantum size or even creating a micro black hole. Need to investigate less permanent solutions. Steele's hammer almost certainly targets and returns on some sort of encoded transmission protocol. Intercept, jam, interfere, counter command. Perhaps in conjunction with the signal device trackers. Firestorm. Intense bombardment from a linear accelerator should cause Firestorm to fission back into his component personalities. They, in turn, will be easily dealt with. Oliver Queen is every bit the playboy that I pretend to be. Green Arrow can probably be distracted with any number of positives or negative changes in his personal life and fortune. Need more data on New Genesis and Apocalypse. At some point I should set up an expedition and poke around both worlds for myself, if I can just get my hands on a mother box for 10 days or so. So he already got something against new gods like Orion, Big Barda, and Mr. Miracle. Got some from Black Canary and Zatanna too. Success with that muscular toxin finally should cause strong but not life-threatening constriction of the larynx, providing an option for dealing with a number of individuals, Black Canary and Zatanna especially. Omnitri is a good man, but his rocket red armor, this is Russian hardware. I'm surprised it works at all. Soviet engineering might produce outstanding tractors, but the rocket red technology was obsolete a decade ago. Piece of cake. So, even international heroes, he, already understood. It's like there's other pages, but I wanted to at least get one so you can see like he make very in-depth like planning here for a very long time. So long we see like an old school Green Arrow costume. So he's been planning this for a while. He's always thinking. We get his little flashbacks in one of those moments here where Alfred is kind of taken aback by Bruce's uh like mindset, where he just thought like after working with them for so many years, it's like knowing how good they are, why would you do something like that? Like they would never do anything like that to you. And Bruce is like, well, if they didn't, they're stupid. Even because he would understand perfectly well that yeah, they should have a plan against me. Why wouldn't they? It just makes sense because yeah, it makes sense to Batman, but something like Superman or Supergirl or Wonder Woman, you know, maybe Oliver Queen. They tried to do that in the Green Arrow show at one point, but they kind of failed at it. They tried to do like a whole Tower of Babel thing, but it's I specifically remember a moment is when like Watchdog was like part of the team at that time. It didn't like work the same way as the story, but I can buy Oliver Queen, at least the Stephen Amell version of Oliver Queen could do something like this. But beyond that, even somebody as smart as the Atom wouldn't even think or consider trying to make contingency plans against his teammates. So Batman tries calling the Watchtower, but like I said, the towers got turned back on, so nobody can understand each other. So Bruce has to get back on his bat plane and make his way back to the States to help out the League. They come to realize that Batman did all this. That's what got through. So, before Arthur dies from dehydration, Martian Manhunter takes him to a water, puts an illusion in his mind that he's in like a Sahara desert where he's perfectly fine. Meanwhile, his body is being submerged in water to keep him alive. While that is going on, he's assisting Plastic Man, who has been, last time we saw him, he was being put back together piece by piece. But he still got showing cracks, but it takes a minute to actually like get it together, literally. But he's put back together again like Humpty Dumpty. So he uses his skills to enter Diana's ear so that way he can remove the robot that's putting that vision in her mind. Meanwhile, like thanks to Martian Manhunter's coaching of Superman to, use some willpower to gain control of his powers, just enough because the Red K is wearing off, but not long enough for the rest of them to try to help Flash. So he managed to control his powers long enough to do an incision so that way they can pull out the bullet so Flash can get back to normal. According to him, it was like decades in this, but it was only been 22 minutes. Which obviously it must have been a horror show for a Flash point of view. So, well, Batman tried to escape, but he had to pretend to be dead, which obviously not. He took the guise of one of the League's costumes to throw Roz and Talia off the scent so he can make his way out with, them looking elsewhere. Because they don't believe he's dead. They know Batman well enough. It's like, did you see a body? Then no. Of course, they speaking to Bruce the entire time. And of course, once they realize, thanks to also, in order to fix Green Lantern, they come to realize that Kyle takes off his ring at night before he goes to bed because he's always worried that if he gets a nightmare while he's wearing the ring will automatically create it because it's based off his will and imagination. So he was susceptible to hypnotic suggestion. The League ended up putting the ring on his finger, putting a suggestion that he's blind, and so the ring, thinking Kyle came up with that idea. It's kind of funny because I just reviewed the movie Inception, which is on the channel, so you can check out my thoughts on that. They pretty much incepted his mind, the idea that he's blind, so the ring made it true because he believed it to be. So he had to will himself to counteract that suggestion, bring it back in sight. Anyway, Batman contacts the League, mentions what Roz did, but obviously they're reluctantly listening, and they are extremely pissed. They all convene in Antarctica where they found the tower where the mechanisms causing this confusion around the world. And during this Middle Eastern area, they call it Kakistan or something or whatever. It's a fake Middle Eastern country that is always like, its neighboring country. There's always going at it. They're on like a steady kind of tie, I guess. I can't remember like a good word for it, but it's like ceasefire. Yeah, they're on like a shaky peace ceasefire, but because of this powder keg that Ra's al Ghul kicked up, things can spiral very quickly if the League doesn't, act. Batman shows up. He's trying to, give orders, but they just staring daggers at him. It's like, did y'all hear me? It's like, yeah. Then they just go ahead and act. They didn't say nothing, but even somebody like Plastic Man, who's normally like the jokey one, Flash points out like, knows you ain't been quipping as much as you used to, and Plastic Man's like, bad day. So they go into the tower. They remove all of the scientists there before they blow it up, which definitely severely cripples Ra's al Ghul's plans. But he has a backup plan where he sends some members to the fake Middle Eastern country to try to spark off a war that would encompass everybody, to get everybody involved. So one way or another, he's going to have some kind of collateral on a global scale, some way, shape, or form. But his plan A was the cleanest one. This one's a little bit more dirty and will have more suffering. So, everybody goes to deal with the problems at hand. And of course, Superman, it's very rare you see Superman pissed. He takes out the entire tower. He wants one-on-one time with Batman. No, you're coming with me. We're going together on this one, because he has to, have a brief word. And of course, this is where you hear that Bruce rationalize why he, made these plans. He brings up that past event with the body or power swap situation. Talia contacts the League because she hates the idea of betraying her beloved and believing her father kind of taking it too far, but she ends up getting shot in the leg by one of the members of the League. But that doesn't sit too well with Ra's al Ghul, because somehow she manages to get the slip, and Ra's is like, "You shot my daughter, though." The guy said, like, she betrayed us. Yeah, but you shot my daughter, though. So Bruce and Clark make their way to Ra's al Ghul's hideout, where they save the guy before he becomes food for the lions. Superman rescues him, and Bruce tells Clark that he has my parents. So while trying to go and save Bruce's parents and stop the coffins from falling into the Lazarus pits, of course, Ra's, Zoe's, or Raish, usually a flip back and forth. Damn you, Chris Nolan. Sometimes I end up switching back and forth between Raish and Ra's. Is Raish, by the way. Raish planted another red kryptonite between the coffins, so he can't go anywhere near it now. And also, he's a little bit freaked out that anything that's got a brightly red shine, like a red alert, he kind of flinches a bit, because he went through a horrible experience that his powers went completely unchecked, and he's freaked out now, thanks to Batman. Because in one of Batman's studies, that of course he doesn't want to use green kryptonite, which is the typical way of neutralizing a Kryptonian. He experimented on it, and depending on the hue, it'll do certain things to Kryptonian and Daxamite, who share similar genealogies. So he tested on a Daxamite on what different shades do. Red K was the only one that wasn't lethal that he knew of. He just didn't know what it will still do to Kryptonian biology or physiology, but he knows full well that, okay, it won't kill him. He does need to be, if need be, I can just incapacitate him like that. I don't want to kill anybody, because of course Batman doesn't kill, but he needs to be able to take out Superman if need be, or at least take him out of the game. So last slide. So they make the way to the country, and thanks to Diana stopping, a couple of the members of the League from causing a powder keg to go off. She stopped them from causing because one of them tries to shoot at wearing the garb of the enemy countrymen, causing to shoot a bunch of people from the opposing country, trying to lay suspicion and just forcing somebody's hand to uh, 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 cause a war immediately. Of course, she stops it, and the other guy who has a canister full of this lethal compound that will cause like a catastrophic biohazard. But you know, she managed to get the lasso of truth around him. Second. Of course, yeah. Superman tries to go rescue the coffins, but the Red K is kind of keeping him from getting too close, while Batman is fighting off League members and chasing out the Ra's. Of course, Martian Manhunter and Aquaman comes in the nick of time to rescue Superman and the coffins. Aquaman stops the Doctor, who's the one who concocted the specific fear toxin that caused him to be fearful of water and nearly kill him. Of course, he's going to be answering for his crimes, but Roz managed to make the slip. Meanwhile, Diana, using her lasso of truth, convinces the League member to come to his senses and not set off the bomb. Everybody gets the moment to shine. It was all really good. So the victory was bittersweet. So everybody's convening at the watchtower. And of course, some of them get into kind of an argument. So they're pretty much putting up a vote whether or not to expel Batman from becoming a member of the Justice League or keep him on board. We discovered that Martian Manhunter, early on before the League was formed, he had dossiers on everybody on the League, but he never went as far as Batman. He just, as he puts it, it's more of like a defensive thing rather than an offensive. And of course, at that time, I didn't know anybody here yet. I was the last Martian, so like I need to be able to know who I'm associating with and who I can trust. Of course, Diana, she definitely voted to like, okay, expel him. I can't work with somebody I cannot trust that, took advantage of my goodwill in order to figure out a way to take me out. Kyle voted, despite him being pissed, he, to a degree, understands. So he voted to keep him in. Placid Man voted to keep him out because the fact that he experienced probably one of the more horrible experiences, that he was literally broken into a million pieces. It is probably definitely goes on. That and Flash probably experienced the most horrible version of Bruce's plans. Of course, I imagine Bruce, obviously Bruce didn't want those plans taken to its lethal components, but they don't like the fact that he made them in the first place. And they, expressed that they could at least been told about them, but he doesn't have to let them know about any of the specifics. But as Green Lantern rationalized, look, I think, it probably wouldn't have been good if he told us about it at all, because if one of us wanted to do an end run on, or like, try to do anything about it, then it kind of, make those plans pointless. He points out about the whole Hal Jordan parallax situation. Of course, Wally West, who looks up and worked with Hal in the past, didn't like the fact that he kind of brought it up at all, because at that time the emotions are still kind of raw about that event. But Diana said no, he's speaking the truth. She all is about truth, not their truth, people, the truth. And then yeah, it's obviously true that the same thing that happened to Kyle could easily happen to any member of the Green Lantern Corps, because they definitely require sight in order to be able to properly make constructs and aim it. Otherwise, it's just like a wild beast that's, is no use to anybody. Of course, everybody but I think Arthur, Diana, and Plastic Man voted him out, while everybody else say he can stay in. So the deciding vote obviously will be on Superman. And of course, Superman is pondering. And he's probably hurt the most because after so many years, because he considered Batman a friend, because that was the first team up he ever experienced, was with Batman. And they thought, like, over the years they grew, fairly fond of each other. Like, Superman and Batman's friendship is like one of the best in comic book history. So this, at that time, was a very like tumultuous moment where it's like, I thought this guy was my friend. I thought we was past all these suspicions of each other. I thought I earned his trust, but he not only kept a kryptonite to use against me, but modify it to do what it did to me. That my powers could have gone out of control. I could have seriously hurt somebody. And, even though it was misused, he the one to kind of set it up. So he flew out of there to go to confront Batman. But Batman's already gone. And he ain't trying to stay to figure out that justice. I'm pretty sure he already knew, being Batman, know which way they would have gone to vote. So he ain't, trying to stay for this farce. We see like a kind of like an epilogue where Wally goes to the Teen Titans to talk with Nightwing about the entire ordeal. Word eventually gets around about what happened. And now, with like Teen Titans and the Young Justice teams are looking at the Bat Family crazy now, Robin and Nightwing, because they're whispering at each other and looking at Nightwing funny, and Nightwing's like, I will never do that, but it's like, yeah, but was his first sidekick. You don't think like he taught you how to make sure, like, hey, keep tabs on certain people? Because, how do we know? And then when the Young Justice was trying to deal with some criminals, Impulse, who was like the previous like Flash that I was doing like a comic book review of last time, he was still Impulse right here at this point, tries to like vibrate a villain or a mugger or something like that through a wall, and then Tim Drake Robin is like, no, don't do that. It's like, what are you talking about? I can just vibrate. Like, no, like, you're not equipped for that stuff, because like, it won't work for you. Wait a minute, how do you? Yeah, so wait. What do you mean? How do you know that won't work for him? I was like, look, just trust me. It's like, oh my god, they all done it. They all done it. Maybe you can grant, maybe in passing, they probably like just on the side without really going too in depth like Batman would. But they all done it. Clearly they done it. They definitely at least studied them to know their weaknesses. It's like, how could they not? It's almost like second nature to them. If any of the Bat Family been around you long enough, give them probably 2 days, just hanging with them, they know how you function very easily. What takes most people probably a month or two, or maybe like a year, it takes them a few days, and they got you like that. They know exactly how you work. It's almost second nature. The only difference is Batman actually put that more of an aggressive action to that kind of level of studying. So now, every team is not responding to Oracle. Yeah, it's just like, oh my god. Like, oh no. Oh no. Now, every member of the Bat family is being looked at sideways. Oracle, reached out to Bruce, and she asked him, like, please tell me, like, let me put it, like, it's like, I have a problem with what you don't know. As Oracle, I'm supposed to be the JLA's data bank, their prime information resource, and I'm here to tell you they haven't called on me once since they booted you off the moon. Maybe they haven't needed you. Maybe they think I was somehow involved in your stupid stunt. Better yet, the Titans are now paranoid over Nightwing for no reason, but they don't know that. And Robin says the Young Justice kids are looking at him funny. Guilt by association. Everybody in your sphere is getting the hairy eyeball. If they are smart, they can turn that into a strength. Are you even listening to me? What you've done, there's such a ripple effect. If you meant for that to happen, admit it right now. If you're not sorry about how all of this went down, tell me so. Say something. And then at that moment, like, Bruce picked up, like, she knew she had somebody there watching or listening in. So he ended the transmission. It's like, you backstabbing. Or like, oh no, I know you ain't feeling like, oh, butthurt because somebody else, like, double, or you feel double crossed. Like, oh wow, isn't that rich coming from Bruce Wayne? Of course, Superman was, listening in, thanks to Oracle, saying, that was the last time they spoke. And of course, this disappoints Superman because, like, oh my god, my friend got some issues. But that was the end of Tower of Babel. And man, this could easily be a great movie, kind of like Marvel's Civil War. Tower of Babel could be his own full-length feature movie, live action. It could be done because it's there. In a way, it's kind of like their Civil War, the closest thing to Civil War for the Justice League, where everybody's pretty much looking at the Bat family crazy because they think by association to Batman, they will probably be just as paranoid. And because, like, their friendships are now tainted, at least for a while. Their friendships have been tainted. Now, in the animated film, the way it ends is with Clark gifting a shard of kryptonite to Bruce, because as a form of friendship, in a way. It's like I understand, because deep down you're still a good person and you want what's best for the world, similar as me. So one person I would trust with my weakness is my best friend. And he asked him, you can't be that arrogant enough to make a plan for everybody else but you. And he said, I did have a plan. It was the first plan. It's called the Justice League. However, that all got eroded by the Batman failsafe arc that happened in mainline Batman comics a couple of years ago, which I reviewed on the channel. You can check out my Batman Failsafe story arc on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/talking of Carl. So you can hear my thoughts on that story, because it kind of undercuts that nice little way of ending where, like, oh, Batman helped form the Justice League in order to be able to take him out as a team in case something happened with him. But now they all got undercutted by the fact that he made a Terminator Batman to take himself out, which was on a freaking tear spree that, nobody was able to take him out. So you can read it or check out my review. You can find out how it transpired and how it ended. But yeah, that was Tower of Babel. A great story. I really love this story, and I want to do like more like short Justice League stories like Identity Crisis, because I haven't read Identity Crisis in its totality. I've seen certain issues here and there over time. I know the story and how it ends, but I wanted to read it from start to finish for the first time. So that is definitely on the list. I'm not sure when I'm going to do that, but I really want to reread that. But I'm curious to know, do you guys agree with Batman's contingency plans? And put your biases that you have about Batman to the side and just objectively look at it. Like, okay, is this a good idea? Because it's kind of like, do you agree with Tony or Steve in terms of freedom versus security kind of question? And of course, with that, I was obviously on the side of Steve, because it makes sense, because like, you can't force anybody to register and give up their identity, because that's all they have against dealing with criminals. Here, I do slightly agree with Batman, because they need to have some type of plan, because you look at something like Superboy Prime or like a different, like, various examples of superheroes overstepping a certain boundary, or they become hypnotized or whatever, because they deal with all sorts of different kind of adversaries that can easily manipulate their powers or steal their powers and misuse them. There needs to be a quick and efficient way to neutralize it. Not kill, but neutralize it, so they can nip it in the bud quick, fast, and in a hurry. But it's just that, yeah, I'm not sure the decision of not, like, filling them in, at least to a degree, not the whole gambit, but to the degree that he has something, but he's just never going to tell them. And somebody asked, they kind of solved that in here too. You might ask, like, how come Martian Manhunter didn't read his mind? He put his own hypnotic suggestions towards himself and only used certain key phrases to reignite the memory, so he can continue working little side projects like that, and then he can easily hypnotize himself into forgetting, so that way any psychics like Martian Manhunter can't figure it out by even accidentally reading his mind. So that's how he's able to get away with it, even if you're dealing with something like a powerful psychic. So they did their research when making this story, so it's really good. I really like this. So I will see you guys for the next one. Let me know in the comments below. Do you agree with Batman's plans or not? But yeah, I will see you guys soon. Take care. Peace.